Superheroes are done.
An era comes to an end on May 20th as The Boys releases its final episode ever. The series that's redefined what it means to be a superhero is setting up for its grand finale, but don't expect it to be glamorous. Season 5, Episode 8 is titled Blood and Bone for a reason. And that's because bones will be broken and the blood will flow. Amazon dropped the trailer to tune up the band for its encore. And in this video, we'll be breaking down everything that happens in it. Spoiler warning if you don't like that sort of thing. With that out of the way, let's get started.
Run.
Homelander's purge begins. The trailer begins with Butcher claiming that the boys need to end the whole bloody notion of soups. That's consistent with what he's been talking about all season long. But the room he enters and the one we see next appear to be different from one another. For one thing, the lighting on Butcher's face is quite bright. And another thing is that he looks to be preparing for a kill. That strikes a different tone from the look adorning Annie and Huey's faces, because they're clearly watching something terrible unfold on the news, and we believe we know what that is. In our predictions for the series finale, we said that Homelander is going to begin purging the states that are providing sanctuary to Starlighters. That's what him moving troops into those states was an indicator of. Well, it looks like the purge has begun, and whatever notions of holding back or doing the right thing the boys had will now need to take a back seat. Even Huey, with all his morality, can't defend delaying action anymore, because every second leads to the death of another Starlighter, and that's just giving fuel to Butcher's rage-addled mind. He'll do whatever it takes to get the gang to kill all soups. But we're pretty sure he wants to begin with Homelander. The Purge is the perfect event to support his argument too, because Homie isn't the kind to let soldiers do his killing for him. He prefers doing it himself, and that's probably what Annie and Huey are gaping at when the trailer begins. The Deep turns on Homelander. As Butcher's voiceover continues, the scene shifts to what appears to be one of two places that can have that much white in its architecture, and we'll get to see the second one in a few minutes. What's more important right now is the address that people will see, because it's everyone's favorite punching bag, the Deep, appearing to do the right thing for the first time in his life. The last time we saw him, he was hesitating from saving a drowned man, because his deep-sea friends had warned him that they'd kill him if he entered the water again. Shout out to Samuel L. Jackson for voicing Xander, the hammerhead shark, who cussed Deep out in Season 5, Episode 7. That entire scene ended with Deep hiding in the shed at the pier as a Vought executive told him that saving the guy would be good for his brand, and a person recorded the whole incident. But we don't know its conclusion just yet. It's likely that Deep let that guy die, but if he chucked his phone aside and dove in to save him, then that would explain what we're about to say with evidence. The trailer shows Deep turning up at the aforementioned White House, where he goes to talk to the last man you'd expect him to talk to, Oh Father. Earlier in Season 5, Deep was jealous of Oh Father because he now had the hotline to and respect from Homelander. Two things he'd always craved. But when Deep was forced out of the Seven and confronted with his own crimes, he must have realized that he'd been supporting a genocidal maniac. Too late to the party, Kevin, but clearly not late enough, because we think the Deep is trying to convince Oh Father to ditch Homelander. Just look at the body language, right? They both look tense. They're both clearly discussing something major. And Oh Father's face is screaming, I agree with you, but I'm too scared to do anything about it. In Episode 7, Oh Father did a test screening for his production of Jesus Passes the Crown of Thorns to Homelander, and he believed that he could get his test audience to fully convert, but Homelander just told him to kill all the non-believers. He's clearly having doubts, and perhaps he was alone with the Deep for the entire duration of that conversation. And perhaps if he was alone with the Deep for the entire duration of that conversation, he might have been converted himself. But then Homelander arrives, and both Kevin and Aaron look like proper human beings for the first time in a long time. We don't know exactly what Homie says to them, but whatever it is, it doesn't seem good for either. Especially the Deep, because in the very next scene, something happens that we've been waiting for a long time. Rumble in the White House? So that location where Homelander, Deep, and O-Father convene to commune can be one of two places. The first is the Democratic Church of America's headquarters, formerly belonging to Samaritan's Embrace. And the second is the White House itself, which we know that Homelander is accustomed to being in by now. We initially thought it might not be the White House because of all the political implications that could come with that, but then we recalled that Homelander literally killed the fictional president of the United States in the Oval Office, so Capitol Hill re-entered our argument. Plus, the White House is where the final confrontation between him and Butcher takes place in the comics, so it would make sense for that to play out in the show as well. But it's not what we meant when we said we've been waiting for this for a long time, because what we've been waiting for is a full circle moment and honest-to-God retribution, and it looks like we'll get both of those in Episode 8 with regards to Annie January's journey. Starlight was a doe-eyed Soup recruit with big dreams in Episode 1 of The Boys. She thought that all Soups were genuine heroes, and her getting called up to the Seven was because of her merits, not the optics associated with her. But she quickly learned how naive she was when the Deep assaulted her. Since then, she's been forced to hold back or had to retreat from him, based on the situation at hand. But not anymore. The trailer shows us Annie flying full tilt at Deep's torso, aiming for his gills, and crashing out the walls and windows of the building where Deep met O-Father. Once again, we must point out that this could be Samaritan's Embrace, or worse yet, the Collective's old haunt, which O-Father could have acquired to rub in their Fresca-sipping faces. But this is where the rumble will begin. A showdown in the White House is all we're asking for from this series finale, and Annie being the one to spark it. Especially to take down the Deep would be everything we've asked for and then some. She might stop short of actually killing him because that isn't the kind of girl she is, but she'll mess him up real bad before it's all said and done, and for us, that'll be enough. But as for O-Father, it doesn't look like common sense will win out over his fear, especially considering what we see him and his lawfully wedded wife do next. Will O-Father hunt his wife? The trailer shows the boys, led by Mother's Milk, heading into a building with a massive brown wooden door. This is probably where they're trying to get to O-Father, who's been their target for a couple of episodes now. But we also see O-Father using his sonic powers to break through a similar looking door. So who's the hunter and who's the hunted? Well, it looks like this will be a game of cat and mouse, and there's another mouse we need to consider before it's all said and done. That's Ashley, who we briefly glimpse running down a hallway that looks an awful lot like a nuclear bunker. Whether that's one of the many sites she has access to as the new president of the United States, or the bunker that belongs to Sister Sage, we're not sure. We do know that she's running from Homelander, possibly because she's done something to cross him. We don't think that Huey and Annie are the only ones with a conscience, people. Ashley might have told Bashley to go silent, but can she really run from the thoughts that brew in her own head? Or rather, the head behind her? If she's on the run, it's only because she's done something to sabotage Homelander, and we can think of one of two ways she could have done it. We'll get to those ways in a few as well, but if Ashley is turned on him and O-Father can't, then it's likely Homelander will task him with killing his wife. After all, he's an established pattern of making friends kill friends and lovers kill lovers to test their loyalty to him. Rest in peace, Timothy and Noir 1. Apart from that one sexual encounter in the following interview they did with Firecracker, rest in peace to her as well. Ashley and O-Father aren't all that close. Killing her shouldn't be a problem for him. And if it's to prove his loyalty to the man he's about to proclaim as the new god of the universe, then we'll suspect he'll do whatever Homelander tells him to, regardless of how many questions he has.
Brother.
Homelander meets his own Jesus. Speaking of Homelander becoming God, it's both hilarious and disturbing that the only person to call him out for his lunacy in Season 5 was Soldier Boy, who put him in his place by calling his prophetic vision what it really was, a psychotic breakdown. Homelander put his father out of commission for that, but in amongst the planning, plotting, and killing, he hasn't forgotten that he's a father himself. And now that he's about to assume the role of being the father, he needs to ensure that his son's all squared away with the new reality of the world. If Homelander becomes Jesus, then Ryan's next in line. And for this entire charade to work, Homie needs Ryan to listen and obey. They don't have to be friends or even friendly. Not like that'll happen after he nearly beat his boy to death. But they do need to understand each other. And we suspect that's what Homelander's visit to him will entail. At least initially. We see the father-son duo meeting in what appears to be a cabin in the woods, which is another thing they have in common apart from the fact that they're the strongest Soups alive. Homelander loved the woods as a child, and maybe that's what he'll use to appeal to his son's softer side. But there's another possibility here, a much darker one that could spell the end for the slimmest sliver of redemption he might have had as a character. Eric Kripke told us that Homie's going to do something this season that will permanently stain him as the absolute worst. And what could be worse than him taking out his own child? Can't have a Jesus that doesn't agree to be Jesus after all. And Ryan's given Homelander more cause to hate him than love him, irrespective of the rationality of said causes. If he kills Ryan, which could happen considering all the bad blood between them, that will spell the end of any sort of clean ending of the boys that we might have hoped for. If he doesn't and they just fight, that would be better, but still much worse than what a parent should be doing to ensure their child's safety and well-being. Either way, Ryan is one of the last hope scenarios we currently have for dealing with Homelander's tyranny, and only one of the others is a person. The third is what we're scared to death of, because it looks like irrespective of Homelander, it's gonna be used. And we're pretty sure you guys know what we're talking about, but I'll say it anyway.
Superheroes are done.
For Becca, is that a nuke or the virus at the end of the trailer? The entire trailer is voiced by Butcher, and Butcher alone. And he's telling the boys that they need a permanent solution to the world's soup problem. A final solution, if you will. And we've been seeing that solution all season long. It's the soup virus. And we've hoped beyond hope that Butcher might give it a rest after Homelander injected himself with V1. But we forgot who we're talking about for a moment. In the trailer, we see him gearing up for battle with the boys on multiple occasions. Butcher's walking into a warehouse with the remnants of his team. Butcher's checking out his crowbar as Mother's Milk gears up beside him. One way or another, we'll be seeing that crowbar being used, just by the way. And Butcher's also inspecting the largest vial of the soup-killing virus we've seen to date, as it becomes clear to us that he'll either release it or die trying. We see a brief shot of Becca's grave, the woman he's doing it all for ostensibly, but we all know that that's not what this is about. Not anymore. The only way Butcher knows how to be human is to be inhuman, and when he says superheroes are done, we get a shot of something landing on a beach. This thing is small, black, and shaped not like a person, otherwise we'd have called it a flying soup. It's shaped like a missile, and in our minds that can only mean one of two things. One, it's a nuke, and that makes sense considering he and Frenchie were trying to turn Kimiko into Soldier Boy just last episode. But this thing doesn't explode on contact, so it can't be a nuke, right? I mean, sure, the thing could have just been set up with a delayed timer, but realism has always been important to the boys, and any nuke would have exploded on contact, no matter how soft and sandy the ground it lands on is. The other is that this missile is how he's releasing the soup virus into the atmosphere, which makes a lot more sense considering this pathogen is airborne, and blowing it up is the quickest and surest way to make it spread like wildfire. We get to see Butcher standing in a hallway once or twice in the trailer, and if we're betting men, we'd say that hallway is connected to the opening shot of the trailer, and also part of the structure where his final battle with Homelander will go down. That battle might not be a battle at all, or it might be a conversation instead of a battle, where they revisit their promise to end things with shock and awe and the title of the episode. In any case, one thing is guaranteed. Butcher will finally go completely off the rails and take all matters into his own hands. And when he does that, it'll make the ending of The Boys his favorite word. Diabolical. But as for this trailer breakdown, this is all we've got for you today. And we're curious to hear what you think might happen in the finale. So let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more soup content. And we'll see you guys real soon with yet another video as the curtain call is performed. Until then, stay safe and have a great day. And as always, stay marvelous.